Hello and welcome to my channel. Thank you so much for coming. My name's Lyndon, and in this video I want to share with you a lesson that I've been doing with quite a few clients recently that's gone down really well. And what this lesson is doing is addressing the reason why your major scales are not sticking. And the reason that your major scales are not sticking is because they're kind of abstract, and your brain, you teach your brain how to do a scale, and your brain, which is your faithful servant, kind of looks at this scale. You say, look, can you learn F major for me? And your brain goes, yeah, sure. And then your brain sort of looks at you and says, so what do you want me to do with this then, right? And you say, well, just learn it. And your brain goes, yeah, but I'm a bit busy. So look, if you're not going to use it, that's fine, because I'll remember it, but I'm just going to put it down over here. So your brain will put it down because your brain's busy. You know, it's been working since the day that you were born. It's never taken a day off. And it's dealing with past trauma and how to make your liver function and all this cognitive stuff that it's doing. The brain's working really hard. So your brain's going about its business, and it bumps into the information of F major. Oh, there's a bloody F major, right? What are you doing with this? Are you using it? Because if you're not, I'm going to put it down over here so it's not in the way anymore. And that process will happen again and again and again. If you don't use the scale, if you don't find some practical application for it, your brain will move it further and further and further back. And in the end, your brain will store it in that shed at the bottom of the garden underneath some tarpaulin. And I know this because sometimes if I say to somebody, how many sharps or flats has F major got? They will do this. They will go, now, wait a minute, hang on a sec, no, just a sec, I do know this. And what's happening there, their research department inside their head is going, where do we put F major? It's in the shed at the bottom of the garden, right, under the tarpaulin. Somebody has to rush out there, get the scale, bring it back, and then the person says, is it one flat? So the reason that that's happening is not because they're mad, bad, or sad, it's because it's not connected to anything that they can use. So what I'm doing with people, my private clients, students, whatever you want to call them, is that I'm making sure that we can find a way that makes these scales functional, practical, useful, and fun. And that's what this video is about. Now, before I take a further deep dive, I just want to say thank you so much to the subscribers and people that have bought me coffees. You can't imagine what it means. The feedback that I've had recently has just been fabulous. I'm so grateful to you, and if you'd like to buy me a coffee, you can. And just subscribing to this channel, which doesn't cost you anything, is massively helpful because of the algorithm, which quite frankly I don't understand. So but I know that if you subscribe to my channel, then that really does help, and it doesn't cost you anything, so please subscribe. Right, so I've got an example over here of F major, and what I've said is make your major scales functional, practical, useful, and fun. First of all, I've just written out the scale for alto saxophone. Now, tenor players, don't worry, because I'm going to put alto and tenor for everything that I'm doing under in the titles at the bottom of the screen, as you'll see. But what we do have here is for alto saxophone an F major scale. So first of all, I want to make sure that we're comfortable with that. So that would sound like this. Coming down from there. And then underneath there, I've got the chord tones, which is the root and the third, the fifth and the seventh and the ninth. And that sounds absolutely gorgeous, even on its own. Coming down from there. So the first thing that I'm going to do is to apply that to a backing track, and here I have a brilliant backing track which is made by Session Band. It's the same apps that I use for a lot of my videos because they're fantastic, and this is Soul Jazz Funk Volume 3. I've got that on a 70s funk genre, and I've turned this into F major. and I've gone into here and made sure that I'm on E flat for alto saxophone, and I've gone into here and I've muted off the tenor, and I would just get my client or you to play up and down with this backing track. Now if you don't have session band, you can still find a backing track on YouTube, and that would be a really good thing to do. So so let's have a listen to what the major scale sounds like. Down from there, 2, 3. And then the chord tones, 2, 3, then. Does start to sound really nice when you apply it to a backing track. So now here's my idea. It's such a simple idea, but it's so effective. If I play the scale, but instead of playing from the root to the root, so the problem with playing from root to root, you say you start on the root and then you go to the root and then you start on the root again and you come back down to the root. The problem with that is that artistically or creatively, musically, you're starting in a point of resolution and you're finishing in a place of resolution, and then you're doing that again from resolution to resolution. So your story, if you're the music that you were playing is a story, you're saying once upon a time, which is a predictable place to start, there was a girl lived in the forest, a bunch of stuff happened, and then they all lived happily ever after. So you've started and finished in a place of resolution, and then the listener's brain goes, brilliant. Thanks very much, that was a great story. But if your story doesn't start on the root, if your story starts in an unpredictable place like, and the person was laying on the floor and their keys and wallet were smashed all over the pavement and somebody was running down the road, the listener's brain, your brain goes, wait a minute, what's going on? It's much more stimulating, it's much more interesting to start the story kind of midpoint through, because it's just much more stimulating because you're trying to work out what's going on. And also, if you think about resolution, then if you think about any soap opera that's ever been written, where do they leave the end of every episode? Do they leave it in a place of resolution where they all lived happily ever after, or do they leave it in a place of tension? So that, and why do they do that? They always leave it in a place of tension is the answer, by the way. And why do they do that? Because it's more stimulating and it makes you want to come back next week. So it's much more engaging and stimulating. So that's exactly the same with music. If I don't start in the predictable place of the root and I don't finish on the predictable place of the root, all of a sudden this changes exactly the same sequence of notes into something really beautiful. So specifically, I'm starting on the 7th note of the scale, which is the E. I'm starting on the E, and then I'm running up, and instead of stopping on the F, I'm going to the 9th, which is the G. And if I play that with a backing track, you'd be surprised how lovely that sounds and how musical and how gorgeous. It's just lovely. Have a listen. If I do the same thing, but if I do it a little bit more fluidly, have a listen. Coming down from there. Doesn't it sound nice? And it doesn't sound like a scale anymore. You wouldn't pick it, not necessarily. You just wouldn't. It doesn't sound like a scale anymore. It sounds like just a lovely sequence of notes. Now, if I do exactly the same thing, but instead of playing the notes on the beat and being really even, if I stretch that out and make it a little bit more fluid and throw it around, have a listen to how, I think it sounds exquisite. Have a listen. I mean, how nice on the nice scale of loveliness is that? That's all the way up to 11. I mean, it's just so simple. It's just the scale, and yet not starting on the root. So that's something that I would definitely do. Now, when you start to work like this, the brain, instead of going, well, what do you want me to do with this? Well, what is this? Anyway, it's abstract thing. The brain goes, oh, is that what it's for? Oh my gosh. Go and get the major scales, right? I'll build a shelf, right? I won't put it in the shed. Honestly, I'll build some shelves. They'll be right here, just next to the plant. They'll be right here for you. Anytime you need them, they're there. You won't have to go, F, how many flats or sharps in F? You'll know straight away because this is making it functional and practical and useful. Another thing that I really like to do is to be able to hit the chord tones. And what I've done is I've said hit the chord tones 9, 7, 5, 9, 7. So just to be uber specific, I'm going G, E, C, G, E. Which I've written out here for you. And by the way, this worksheet, I'm not going to take a screenshot, I've made a download so you can follow the link and you can print it. And as you can see, it's beautiful, not my horrible scrawly handwriting. So hit the chord tones G, E, C, G, E, and that will sound absolutely gorgeous. Have a listen to this, it sounds so nice. Do that again, just because it's lovely. Isn't that nice? Just sounds so nice, and it's good practice as well because you're hitting the chord tones. Now, if I do that again, but I throw it around, imagine that you've done that 20, 30, 40,000 times. You don't have to do it that many, just 10 times, 15 times. It would take you 5 minutes or 10 minutes to get this under your fingers. And if I throw that around a little bit more loosely, look. It sounds really lovely. So I've got this idea of hitting the chord tones and repeating that. And then look, what I've been doing is going da 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 be da. Now if I just move everything down one, ba do dee ba da. So I'm hitting the chord tones 7 5 3 7 5, and I'll do the same thing, and that will sound. I'll do the same thing as I did before. Play it nice and slowly. Look, really nice. If I throw that around a little bit. And isn't that lovely? It just sounds so nice. Now, here's where it starts to get good, because if you combine all of these three elements, so exercise number 1, playing from the 7th up to the 9th, exercise number 2, hitting the chord tones, and exercise number 3, hitting the chord tones, but in a slightly different way. If I combine all of those, it's just going to sound gorgeous, and I'm just using the major scale. I'm just making it functional and practical and useful, and it's quite good fun as well, and it sounds beautiful. So I'm going to do that. The first time round, I'm going to do it really straightforwardly so that you can definitely see exactly what I'm doing. And then the second time that I do it, I'm just going to be a little bit more loose and free with it, which is just going to take a small amount of practice. It's not going to take you ages used to practice and is definitely within your grasp. So I'm going to be doing number 4 and combine all of these ideas. So have a listen to how nice it sounds. Simple, it's so simple, but it just sounds so nice. And by the way, I would totally play that type of thing at a gig. That is not too, just because it's major scale and just the major scale and just chords, that doesn't mean that that's not completely appropriate to play at a really well paid gig. I would do exactly that sort of thing. And why? Because it's lovely. It sounds so pretty. What human being would not like that? It just sounds really nice. So this is how you're going to make your scales stick. If you play it like this, your brain will love that, and I strongly encourage you to do this in every key. Right, I do hope that that was useful for you. I hope that you've enjoyed that. Again, thank you so much for coming and supporting my channel. I really do appreciate it. Please share my videos. If you'd like to buy me a coffee, you can, and I'm looking forward to seeing you in the next video. Okay, take care. Bye-bye.